Hi Adam, this is not your best skiing. Your best skiing was your last run before we went in after we had done all those uphill Christies where we worked on creating the angulation that was progressive and we worked on creating the ankle flex that was progressive while we were edging the ski. And you worked on that quite well and it worked out great for the last run. So this was before all of that. And the main idea was trying to keep the upper body moving down the hill in this direction because the skis are turning across here and the forces coming from the turn are actually pushing up in this direction. So the idea is we keep moving over the forces of the turn smoothly, progressively, just flowing over them as they build, not trying to do anything too soon because then the forces of the turn will actually push us back. So we're always kind of, if we're looking at our own skiing or anything, we're kind of trying to see where this kind of center of mass or upper body is moving relative to the feet. So this will be a short, quick analysis without a lot of fancy comparisons and stuff, unfortunately, because I don't have a lot of time. But let's just take a look as you're finishing this turn here. And the thing that we want to look at is along the side of the body to see, do we see a progressive tipping of the body in this direction? And what we're going to see is that it gets really static, and instead of that angle getting smaller and smaller, it stays almost the same right here. And so what we'll do is notice that the ski angle doesn't increase. It starts skidding quite a bit here. And what you'll end up having to do is kind of push that ski heel out to try to get a little bit of edge. What you're really doing here is you're trying to drive your knee inside the turn to get enough edge there to finish up your turn. And if you look at how the back of the tail moves out and it gets wider so that it's actually making a little bit of a wedge shape there, and that little convergence is what you'll see, and that little movement is kind of called an ab stem right at the end, where you're trying to drive your knee in to make up for the fact that the angles weren't there. So that happened on many turns. It's just the camera angle was here for it best that you could see it. And you'll also see too that with that little bit of extra push out like that, the overall effect was, instead of seeing a flow of your body here, just watch how you'll get this upward motion. You see your body's, instead of moving into the new turn, it's kind of moving directly up, and you see the tail of that ski come popping up off the ground there. So the second thing I just want to comment on is the forces try to push us back and inside, and so we want to try to keep moving as the skis are going to turn in this direction here. We want to try to keep moving forward, and the main thing that we'll look at for that is how are the ankles flexing, and we want to see that progressive forward flexing, so we should notice that angle increasing, increasing, and increasing. And unfortunately, what happens is it gets static and you start to go down right in here at the knees rather than having the ankle continue to drive things forward. So what happens is when the knee comes into play here, everything here you'll notice starts dropping back and inside the turn rather than driving forward. And you'll also notice that this angle at this point is almost less than what it was just when you were back a few feet earlier in the turn. So right in here is probably where you were kind of maxed out, and then the knees came into play, the hips dropped back, and so the overall effect was this was going here rather than here. So you can see how subtle these tiny little timing things are. The concept is really simple, but the problem is, can we be patient enough and slow enough and progressive enough with it. And the thing that you could feel was when you did it right at the end is the timing was so good on your good turns that when you release the ski edge at this point, instead of having this kind of upward motion, when you released it on your good turns near the end, instead of this thing going up like this, you were just like over here before you knew what was happening. As soon as you took off that edge, your body's motion that was going through the turn, it just kept going and you went in this direction. So huge difference between when your timing was good versus when your timing was off here. And the difference was the exercises that we did in the uphill Christie of first just focusing on progressively flexing the ankle, then we progressively created the angulation, and then we put the two together, and it worked very, very good. So I'll give you some more exercises via email that you can work on Monday night, maybe with Ross or somebody else, and then the next night you'll be back out will be on Friday. I should be back out at the resort on Sunday after that, and hopefully if we're not connecting a lot online between now and then, we'll get together and see how things are going at that point. But yeah, your timing is really had gotten much better, and you can see how important it is to get the timing right to keep everything moving where you want it to be going. Hope that makes sense, Adam.